welcome to Leo Time. Today's video is going to be a really important leopard gecko video, and you will have a nighthawk here in the background. If you are not new to this channel, then you know that a hot hide goes here. It is a log, and just for today's purpose, sometimes at dusk and dawn I take nighthawks. Oh, there he goes into his cold hide, maybe. I take his hot hide out so that he will explore and walk around, because I only occasionally do this just to promote him to explore, but I will be talking about other ways to do that in a really important video that a lot of people don't understand about mainly leopard geckos, but it can be about a lot of other reptiles, amphibians, or geckos in general. So let's get into it. Okay, so this video, this is pretty much the lighting. It's going to get darker over here and lighter over here, and then everything else is going to appear pretty much black. The old light that I would use for this, it's still the same. I just dimmed it because Nighthawk wouldn't actually be active during that. And normally when I'm reading, I have this light on, and that's normally around when I go to bed or before that, and he really likes to chill up on his hammock because of the light, and just for these purposes I have to have that light really close to him, not as far away, so it is dimmer. He's kind of hiding down there, if you can see him. I don't know. So actually, right now I can see his face as clear as day, but some of this lighting is kind of funny, so you might not be able to. There he is. So let's get right on into it. So the one thing I didn't actually say is this video is a UVB reptile, I guess, video. Nighthawk in here will be moving around. It is one of the rare videos that I do with him moving around in it, because occasionally, not occasionally, most of the time I film my videos either later in the day or around like lunchish, so he's not out and I do not want to wake him up. So, on to the facts. So the facts for this video is that the real debate is that, do leopard geckos need UVB and UVA? Yes, they do. The percentage of UVB is more critical than the UVA as far as I'm concerned. So the UVB is very critical, and you can either use a tube light or a more concentrated light. I prefer the tube light, personally. I haven't gotten him his UVB light because I actually just learned about all of this, and I figured it's not a really popular thing on YouTube or anything else. So I want to get a video out as soon as possible on this. So UVB tube lights would light up the whole entire area, promoting different areas they can go, whereas a more controlled light is kind of like a, if you have a heat bulb for heating, it's in one specific area, so it's that designated area. The only problem with tube lights is that, I guess not problem, but if your gecko wants to come out, it can't go into an in-between area where it can get more or less. Nighthawk just went out of the camera. Sorry about that. Sorry, we had to adjust. Nighthawk moved. But, so tube lights, so basically their only way to get away from the tube light is if you have hides, which you need to, so they can go into the hides, and that is where they can get any less UVB, but with a more controlled light, they can come in a medium section, I guess, of UVB, but it's not that large of a problem. And if you're like me and have a hammock for your gecko or reptile, then they can go on that to get closer to the UVB if they feel like they need it. So that's pretty much the difference in UVB tube lights and more, like, I guess more controlled lights. They're definitely not called more controlled lights. I just can't remember what they're called right now. So that's that. Now on to the next thing. So the next thing we will be talking about here is what percentage UVB do you need for your leopard gecko? So because I only have a leopard gecko and don't have anything else, I will tell you the percentage that you need required for them, and you can search up like a UVB, UVA reptile chart, and it will most likely give you the UVB for your gecko or reptile. So just as you can see, Nighthawk here is like pressing his nose up against glass and licking it. It's really funny. He's never done this before. So you can watch him here. My camera will say. There we go. So for leopard geckos, the range between 2 to 5% UVB is best. The UVB light that I'm going to use is the Zoom In Nature Sun 2.0. There's a lot of different, there's a lot of variety, but the 2.0 means that there's 2% UVB in it, which is best for the leopard gecko, considering I will have the 2% instead of 5%, so it can range from 2 to 5%. Some people say 5 to 6, but that's not really the best. If you have a hammock like me and you can't prop up the light really high above their tank, then I recommend you get a 2% UVB, and that has to be about 1 foot from where the gecko will be, I guess not basking, but where it will be absorbing that UVB. So the UVA really doesn't affect them as much, so I'm not going to talk a lot about that. The one thing that I cannot find any information on, no matter where I search, is if the UVB lights produce any heat. If you guys actually know that, then please let me know in the comments down below, because I don't actually know that, and it would be really useful for me. But as far as I'm concerned, they only cause up to 5 degrees difference in Fahrenheit. But that is all I am aware of. So yeah. So the next thing we will be talking about is just continuing what we were talking about before. So just to sum it all up, leopard geckos do need UVB. In between 2 to 5% is best. If the but where they will be, you cannot prop it up from the highest point they could be to absorb the UVB to a foot above it, then get a 2% UVB, or the lowest option you have, and that will be put on top of the terrarium or vivarium. A really large thing that comes up is that UVB, people sometimes say oh, my gecko's in a windowsill or next to a windowsill. Don't they get UVB from that? Well, even if they were, this would be insane. Whoever does this, I would be very alarmed by this. But if you kept your gecko tank outside even, oh my gosh, Nighthawk's digging. Sorry about that. Nighthawk was just digging, and he likes to go on adventures and find stuff. But if for some reason you did keep your leopard gecko outside, and I recommend strongly against doing that, they still might not be getting UVB, and that is very uncontrolled UVB from the sun. a big part of the UVB is that it cannot go through glass. So that is why almost all leopard gecko tanks have a screen lid in them somewhere. Or if you have a vivarium, like a wooden vivarium, they won't have a screen lid, obviously, because it's kind of like a shelf or something. If you search up a wooden vivarium, you will get results on that and see what it is. But you would have to either place it on top and get a hole in there, or I'm not sure what you would do actually, but something in the range of that. Nighthawk here is climbing onto his hammock. So that is why a lot of gecko tanks have screen lids, I'm almost positive, is because they need to absorb that UVB. Also, so key tip here is don't put UVB lights near glass or against glass, because your gecko will not be getting any UVB. Nighthawk continuously changes his mind about where he wants to go. It's very funny. So, that should be the key takeaway from this part of the video. And the last thing, I'm going to just be restating a couple things and just telling you a couple more facts. So on to that. So the last couple facts are that you cannot use a normal light as a UVB light for your gecko. I don't know why you would think that would work or anything like that. If you have a leopard gecko, you should use a 2 to 5% UVB. I cannot repeat this enough times. If the lowest area of your leopard gecko's area where they can, bask is the highest point of which your gecko or leopard gecko would be basking in this UVB is not 12 inches between the highest point in this tank being the hammock and the light. Then get a 2% UVB and get that as far away from it as you can, because then the gecko can control the amount they get. Leopard geckos also, so another new fact, is I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, sorry about that. I totally forgot what I was going to say. So with leopard geckos, an ideal thing is put the light on for 2 hours in the morning, from 6 to 8 or something in the range of that. 1 to 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours in the morning, and then 1.5 to 2 hours in the evening, 7 to 8, or 6:30 to 7:30, or no, 6 to 8 is probably the best you're going to get, but for best results, 7 to 9 is probably the best. Another large question that people have is, what actually does UVB do for your gecko? So UVB helps benefit your gecko for vitamin intake, like calcium and multivitamins. It will also increase activity. So if I had the UVB light as soon as I get it, which is going to be really soon, they're not that expensive, but the holder is pretty expensive. Well, it's not actually that expensive, but it's kind of pricey, in my opinion, for a light. So I'm going to get that very shortly, but I will see this much activity in Nighthawk with his hot hide in there when I get the UVB light. So expect more activity in your gecko. It will lower, if you have calcium with D3, added D3, I recommend not getting that unless you have a pretty strong UVB light, 5% UVB, and it has all the requirements and all that